the command will be given to the Falcon 9's onboard computer to take control of the countdown. So the onboard computer on the rocket itself will govern the final 60 seconds of the countdown. And then we expect to hear the call at T-minus 45 seconds, or perhaps a little bit later at T-minus 30 tonight, on the final go or no-go for launch, and that will hinge primarily on the weather conditions. That's the main issue for tonight. The countdown is continuing down till T-minus 30 seconds, and at that point the clock will be stopped if the weather remains no-go and unacceptable for launch. If the countdown is permitted to continue, it will go down until T-minus 3 seconds, when the command from the Falcon 9's onboard computer will be issued to the engine controllers to light those 9 Merlin engines, and then that will lead up to liftoff at T0.
Stage 1 Pogo.
We are hearing periodic call-outs from SpaceX Launch Control this evening as the countdown steps toward the target launch time of 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time.
Stage 2 RP1 load complete.
T-minus 20 minutes. You're now seeing the big vent from the strongback out at pad 40. We heard the call that the stage 2 RP1 load is complete. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, that is the point at which the second stage has been fully fueled with rocket-grade kerosene, and now we're seeing the chill down of the liquid oxygen loading line that leads up the strongback from the ground tanks at the pad and ultimately into the second stage. These are the lines that will actually flow the cryogenic oxidizer into the second stage. Those lines now being conditioned ahead of the loading of liquid oxygen onto stage 2 at T-minus 16 minutes.
Stage 2 LOX load has started.
T-minus 16 minutes. We just heard the call that liquid oxygen loading onto the second stage has started. This is the next step in tonight's countdown, as SpaceX continues to hold out hope for liftoff of the Falcon 9 tonight at 9 time, 1:15 a.m. UTC. The big issue tonight continues to be the weather here at Cape Canaveral, with cloud cover overhead. Those clouds may contain electrical charges that could threaten the Falcon 9 after it takes off, so the launch weather officer is monitoring the cloud altitudes and thicknesses, as well as measurements by field mills across the Space Center that measure the electrical potential in the atmosphere. As opposed to the previous launch attempts earlier in the week, there's no actual lightning currently in the immediate area around the spaceport. So the big issue tonight appears to be the lightning potential in the atmosphere. Now, inside of 15 minutes until tonight's launch opportunity, which is now effectively instantaneous with the start of propellant loading, the countdown is continuing until T-minus. SpaceX and the launch weather officer will make the final determination on the weather conditions for tonight. If the weather remains red, the countdown clock will hold at T-minus 30 seconds, and that will result in a scrub for tonight. Now 14 minutes, 15 seconds to go. Here's a look at the flight history for Booster 1067, which is out on pad 40 tonight, going for its 6th flight to space. This booster debuted back on June the 3rd of 2021 with SpaceX's Commercial Resupply Services mission number 22 to the International Space Station. This was a cargo Dragon mission carrying several tons of cargo and experiments up to the space station. The booster landed on a drone ship, was refurbished for its next flight, which carried a crew of 4 astronauts into space on the Crew 3 mission last November. It launched again last December with the Turksat 5B geostationary communications satellite for Turksat of Turkey. And then it launched again April 27th of this year with the next NASA crew mission, Crew 4, with another team of 4 astronauts heading to the ISS. And most recently, Booster 1067 launched the CRS-25 cargo mission from pad 39A here at Kennedy Space Center on July the 14th. This was a beautiful twilight launch back a couple of months ago with the cargo Dragon capsule heading to orbit in pursuit of the space. And again, the booster landed on a drone ship and was brought back to Port Canaveral, moved over to a SpaceX hangar here at Kennedy Space Center for refurbishment and inspections, and is back on the pad tonight for the Starlink 434 mission. This will be this booster's 6th flight to space and the first for the Starlink network. Now inside of 12 minutes until tonight's launch opportunity, which is set for 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time, 1:15 a.m. UTC. So status on the propellant loading. Stage 2 has been fully loaded with kerosene fuel. Liquid oxygen loading is ongoing on Stage 2. Kerosene and liquid oxygen both continue flowing into the first stage of the Falcon 9 at pad 40 right now. Everything looking good from a technical standpoint for liftoff this evening, but weather continues to be the story. Weather at last report was no-go for launch. The countdown, though, is continuing down until T-minus 30 seconds. The launch team is hoping for a clearing to allow the launch to proceed tonight. The previous 3 launch attempts for this mission on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights were all scrubbed due to bad weather, and that does appear to be a threat again tonight. If you haven't had a chance to do so yet, please hit the like button on our YouTube stream. It helps us gain a bigger audience for our coverage. Also, please consider becoming a member of our YouTube channel. We have exclusive video features available to members only. Depending on which level of membership you choose, you can gain access to this video coverage. And you'll be helping us continue to bring you live coverage like this. So if you're enjoying our coverage, please consider a contribution to our membership program. It really helps us continue doing what we do. You can also contribute in the super chat here on YouTube. The countdown now approaching T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 10 minutes and counting. T-minus 9 minutes, 7 seconds. Here's a look right now at the weather radar picture here in East Central Florida. The rainfall has stopped here at Cape Canaveral, so that's a good sign. However, the cloud cover overhead may still continue to be an issue. The weather team will be monitoring the electrical potential in those clouds to make a final decision on whether the cloud conditions meet the launch weather criteria tonight. T-minus 8 minutes and 40 seconds. So here's a look at the radar picture. You see the heaviest activity well off to the south. Currently no rain falling here locally at Kennedy Space Center. The countdown is approaching T-minus 8 minutes. For those of you who have contributed tonight in Super Chat, we really appreciate your support. The next milestone in the countdown will be at T-minus 7 minutes when the engine chill down should get underway on the first stage engines. The 9 Merlin engines on the bottom of the first stage will be thermally conditioned for flight. This involves flowing a little bit of super cold liquid oxygen propellant when those engines actually light up at T-minus 3 seconds.
Stage 1 engine chill. Stage 1 RP1 load complete.
So we've heard the call out of the start of engine chill at T-minus 7.
Weather forced us to stand down from 3 other launch attempts this week. The weather officer once again held a briefing around T-minus 40 minutes and indicated that we're currently at a 60% chance of violating launch criteria tonight. However, that is an improvement over the 90% chance of violation we were given yesterday. All of that being said, we are currently no-go on weather, but we do plan to run the clock down to T-minus 30 seconds to see if those conditions can clear up in time. The teams are currently tracking no issues with Falcon 9 or the spacecraft, and the range is green for launch, and we are proceeding with a T0 of 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time. With liftoff in just 4 minutes from now, we are standing by for TE retraction. And there we just heard the call out that TE retraction is beginning now. Those clamp arms at the base of the fairing have already opened. Falcon 9 is underway with propellant load, which began at T-minus 35 minutes. RP1, or our rocket grade kerosene, is complete already on both the first and second stage. LOX loading is still underway on both stages. First stage will wrap up in just about 20 seconds from now, and second stage will wrap up its LOX load around T-minus 2 minutes.
Stage 1 Pogo. Stage 1 LOX load complete.
And there we just heard the call out that LOX load is complete on first stage. So the first stage is now fully loaded with RP1 and LOX, and we are awaiting completion of LOX load on the second stage, which will wrap up in about 30 seconds.
Launch director in the countdown net. We're continuing the count at this time. We've received our last weather update indicating the weather will be no-go through T0. We'll continue until just below T-minus 1 minute, at which point we'll end the attempt.
So there we just heard the launch director reiterating that weather conditions are still currently no-go, but we intend to run the clock down in an attempt to
Stage 2 LOX load complete.
in an attempt to once again thread the needle. And there we just heard the call out that LOX load is complete on stage 2. So at this point in time, Falcon 9 is now fully loaded with 1 million pounds of fuel and liquid oxygen.
Hold.
Launch abort auto is running. This will be a scrub for tonight's launch attempt. Let's go ahead and set up for a 24-hour recycle. Next attempt, Saturday evening.
And there we just heard on the nets that we are standing down yet again from today's launch attempt due to bad weather conditions. The vehicle and payload remain in good health, and our next launch opportunity is Saturday, September 17th at 8:43 p.m. Eastern Time. As always, thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see everyone back again here tomorrow for our next attempt. Have a good night.